Hey there. So, something I've been thinking about past couple days is, when somebody believes in you, right? Like, I've already mentioned it earlier in a past video talking about when somebody believes in you. It's a big deal because it can really change everything for you, right? When somebody believes that you can do something that maybe you don't think you can do, or you're not quite sure, that when somebody gives you that confidence, sometimes it pushes you into a whole new trajectory of life, right? Like a whole new, different, life. Okay? And so it all comes with belief, right? Either you have to believe in yourself, right? Or something inside of you says, I can do XYZ or be XYZ, whatever that is, or somebody else does it for you, right? Like, belief is really important, right? Most men that I know that I have talked to, one of the things they have all said to me that was super important to them with like being married and everything, or, like with, just in general with their wives or with their girlfriends, or whatever, is like, if they didn't have belief, if they didn't believe in them, that if there was no belief, or they didn't feel that belief from that person, like, it was hard. It was really hard. It was a rough relationship, right? And they almost shut down telling that person anything, right? Okay, and it has to be real. It can't just be like fake, like, I believe in you, you're a star, wish upon a star, Disney character. Okay, no, it has to be real, right? It has to be sincere. So you can't really fake that. Okay, and so belief is absolutely important. And how a man or your spouse or significant other, like for me, I'm saying a man because I'm a woman, how that man looks at me, or how he believes, or what he believes I'm capable of, right, is going to absolutely affect the relationship, just like it would for him as far as what I believe he could be capable of, right? It absolutely affects you. It affects how you move. It affects your goals. It affects your happiness, your desires, your fulfillment. It affects a lot, right? If, for example, all you ever wanted to do was be a mother, and as you got older and maybe you did find your spouse or whatnot, and you were not able to conceive, but the only thing you ever wanted to do was be a mother, and you started to lose belief, if your spouse was like, I believe in you, let's try another route, IVF, whatever, right? All this other stuff. Okay, then you would feel, fulfilled if you were able to have that child, or even if you were able to adopt or whatever, right? But you would feel the support from your spouse. You would feel like, okay, wow, I'm really happy because this is something I always wanted, right? So I'm saying this because belief is really important. It is. It's absolutely very important. And if you've ever experienced a relationship where you didn't have belief, or you didn't get that from whoever you were with, you notice it. I mean, as you get older, or as you are older, okay, and when you're young, these things you might not notice. It's not until you have been with someone who didn't believe in you, or who doesn't believe in you. Okay, so, not only is that important, right? But like someone like me, I already know that's important. I have to believe in whatever, like, for example, whatever, I don't want to say occupation, but let's say if my spouse, significant other, boyfriend, or anybody I'm trying to be with, if he's trying to do something, whatever it could be, if he wants to open up a mechanic shop because maybe he wants to be a mechanic, I feel that it's important that I genuinely be able to believe in what he wants to do, or what he can do. Okay, because I know that I could be in a very important part of his journey in encouraging him. But if I truly don't believe in whatever it is he's trying to do, right, because I don't believe in it, I don't want him to do it, or whatever, right? Like, if that's how I really feel, then I know that I might actually be discouraging to him, right? So now, let's just say you understand this, you get this, right? And if you're like me and you're single and you are considering other potential partners, people, whatever, right? I'm going to use me as an example. How a man views women in general is going to be super important to me, right? And there's a reason, right? Because if he views women as, you know, somebody to just bear children and stay at home all day long and cook and clean, and that's all he wants, right? Then, and that's what he believes and how he believes women should be, then that's going to be important if I actually am trying to have a career, right? The two beliefs are going to clash. It doesn't matter if I am, let's say, a Catholic and he is a Catholic. It doesn't matter per se that we might both be of the same religion if we actually have a different belief system, whether it be in our heart or something we're harboring, or even just like maybe we don't talk about it, but it's kind of like what you really believe, or it's what you really want. It's like, I really only want a woman who's going to bear my children and, you know, be at home, cook and clean, and have sex on demand. Okay? I mean, hey, that's cool. Everybody's entitled to whatever it is that they want, right? But their belief as to what they want or what they think their spouse or significant other should be for them, it needs to coincide with the person that they're with. The person that they're with should have the same belief, like, I have a vagina, and because of that, I think the only thing that I can really do is bear children and stay at home and cook and clean and be your on-demand P, because my brain is too small to do anything else, and this is what I truly believe because this is the way my mother raised me to be, and this is what I see that, you know, all princesses and princess treatment, and, you know, I mean, that's what you really want, right? You need someone who's going to have that type of opinion who would match that, your personal opinion. I mean, I'm just keeping it real, right? Okay? But let's say if you're the type of man who's like, you know, for example, I want a go-getter, I want somebody who's independent, I want somebody who's on, you know, on top of her game, or she's, oh, you know, she does things, whatever, she sets goals, she has intentions, you know, she's a master at XYZ, whatever, right? Then, and you like someone who's about trying to make money or building something, whether it be an empire, a business, whatever it is, right? Then if that's what you think that your significant other should be, or what you would want, right? Then you would not want to, let's say, attract somebody who is a spoiled brat, princess kind of person, who maybe was like in her family was spoiled, or her dad did everything for her. She doesn't even know what a mop or broom handle feels like because she's never done that. Or, you know, somebody who is like, you know, never worked at a corporation, or has never even attempted to start a business, or has never really worked much in her life. Or if she's never even actually had goals, you know, whatever they may be. If she's, you know, always been a stay-at-home kind of person, maybe she doesn't even have her high school diploma, or maybe she does, or maybe she doesn't, maybe she's never even gone to college, or maybe she has. But the point is that it's like she's never really been pushed to do anything, or she hasn't pushed herself. And if you, let's just say you inadvertently, okay, you inadvertently get that girl pregnant, that spoiled brat princess who has never done anything in her life and expects and assumes that the man does everything, right? But you are an independent go-getter, and you want that in a wife, or you want that in a significant other, or you're trying to build an empire and that's what you want, right? But you inadvertently get her pregnant, okay? And now you're stuck in a situation and you're thinking to yourself, well, you feel obligated to go ahead and be married to that person. And again, even if you guys are the same religion, or come from the same place, or went to the same school together, or grew up in the same hood, or were around the same type of people, same family, neighborhood, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. None of that matters. Because essentially, bottom line, the two of you have totally different outlooks on what a relationship should look like and entail. This is something to think about, okay? Because, for example, let's say I, want to, be in a relationship with somebody, and I don't believe in sharing. I mean, as far as sharing my man, I don't believe in sharing. I don't believe in poly. Now, yeah, anyway, so let's just say but he does. And if you don't figure this stuff out in the beginning, what happens? If you don't figure this stuff out in the beginning, like if you got a man who basically what he's telling you or what he has told you or what he says, when he says, I believe in poly or I want that, or that's something I've always wanted, what he's saying is he wants additional females around him to either choose from or at his beck and call, right? Okay, and that's cool if everybody agrees. If everybody has that same feeling and everybody is open to that type of relationship, cool. That's not what I'm talking about though, right? So let's just say though you don't realize that, okay? And then you get involved with somebody or whatever, and you're expecting loyalty and monogamy, and this person over here is wanting poly, okay? That's not gonna work. It don't matter if you're the same religion. It don't matter if you are the same age. It don't matter if you come from the same place. It don't matter if you are the same race. It don't matter if, all that other stuff don't matter. If essentially, fundamentally, your major outlook on what you think the structure of the relationship should look like for each person is not the same, you're going to have problems. You're going to have major problems. You're going to have issues. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have disruptions. You're going to have situations. And essentially, one or both of you will be hurt. Okay? So, when it comes to... when it says, the scripture in the Bible says, do not become unevenly yoked. Unevenly yoked. Okay? If you actually research what yoke means, it was talking about the yoke on the oxen and the workload, because that's what that represented. The bar that went across the oxen as they plowed, okay, in the field, this was back in the day, that was called the yoke. The yoke could not be unevenly balanced, because if it was, the oxen couldn't do his job properly, because one side was heavier than the other. That one side was pulling more weight than the other. AKA, one person in the relationship is doing more than somebody else, or one person in the relationship feels like it should be like this, and the other person feels like it should be like this. It's kind of like this. It's kind of like this. Let's say a bunch of people come together at a work luncheon and they're playing games. And you have one person who is like Chinese and this other person who is black. Okay? And they don't even speak the same language. Right? But they're paired together as partners to win this three-legged race that they usually play, right? Those type of games that they play. Okay, so they may not even really speak the same language, or it could be a language barrier. But they both know that the goal of this game, to win, they got to put one leg in this sack and hop across the field and get there before any of the other people do that they're racing against, right? So they got to somehow figure out how to do this and actually agree upon some things, you know what I'm saying? And work together for that momentary time or whatever, for that goal, right? If they want to win. So what happens when you get these two people and if they both have the same goal of winning this three-legged race, regardless if the two of them have different languages or come from different backgrounds or different ages or different religions or work in different departments of their job, right? They were paired together and they both want to win. They're going to figure out a way to communicate and to work together to make it there, right? They're going to look at each other's eyes and be like, we got this. Somehow they're going to figure that out, right? They're going to work together. Why? Because they both have the same goal. They both have the same goal. they are evenly yoked. Especially with them having the same goal, they're not going to be going in opposite directions of each other, right? One's not going to be going back here and the other's going to go here. They have the same goal. I mean, one of them isn't going to go get lemonade in that with the leg still in the sack, and the other one is over here trying to win the race, or one is trying to go get barbecue, whatever. They have the same goal. They're heading for the same spot. They're trying to win this race, right? Okay. The point that I'm making is, when you have the same goal and you are clear about what the goal and what the mission is, aka go get that flag at the end of the race, at the end over there, or run this household effectively, or run this business effectively, or have children and offspring, produce offspring, or traveling, okay, whatever the end goal is, or whatever the main goal of the relationship, or how you see the relationship, right? That is essentially what matters. Who's going to play what role in this relationship? A relationship, or two people who are together, who want to be together, okay? In any relationship, it doesn't really matter. It's actually any relationship, even a work relationship. If you have the same goal and you can communicate effectively to get to that end goal, you will be evenly yoked. You will be evenly yoked. Okay? It's like, when you know you have the same goal, one person does this, the other person does that, and you're evenly yoked. But when you are not in agreement with the goal or the role that you think somebody should play, right? So, for example, if you feel like the man should pay all the bills and be the provider, and he feels like you should help be paying some of the bills, okay, you're not going to be evenly yoked. You're going to be constantly fighting. It's going to be a constant state of like aggravation and a constant state of tug of war as to who's going to give in to their view or outlook for that day. And you will not be evenly yoked. You will not be on the same page. And it will be a source of contention. Now, I'm saying this because I have experienced this myself. In my first marriage, we had the same mentality. We had the same goals. And it was a lot easier for us to work together. He viewed me and women in general as, like he saw me as a business person and wanted that for me just like I saw that for him. And we had the same type of mentality. None of the things were perfect, but we were definitely more evenly yoked. We were like evenly yoked. If you, in my second marriage, for example, we kind of had different outlooks. And sometimes, even when you discuss certain things and you think you get the mindset of somebody, or somebody says, I want this, sometimes even after you get together, they end up actually wanting something else. Or their mouth says, I want an independent woman, but everything about their body language or their demeanor or everything about the way they operate in a relationship says they actually want a stay-at-home wife to cook and clean and serve them dinner naked. Okay, fresh meals every day. Okay, because like you really can't have both. And that's the thing that is very hard, I think, for most relationships, for a lot of relationships. For men in general, I feel like this is very hard for men to understand, because I feel like this is a common conversation that I have with women all the time, probably weekly, is that a lot of men that I have met, they want their cake and eat it too, even in a relationship. They want a woman to basically be at home, stay at home, whatever, with the kids, cook and clean, which takes time. It is very time consuming to cook and clean, keep the house immaculate or whatever, and take care of your kids. First of all, kids by themselves, if all you do is take care of the kids, that's an all-day event. I mean, that is time-consuming. Kids are time-consuming. Not only, they're not time-consuming just because you got to bathe them, feed them, and make sure that they're actually well taken care of, but mentally, if your child is talking and if they are of age at all, you got to teach them. You got to put some brains into them. You got to give them tools. You got to interact with them. It's very mentally draining, especially when if you're dealing with a child who is mentally active, like why? But why? Well, how come? Well, I don't understand. Well, exactly how did the baby get in your belly, mommy? I don't understand. Like, why exactly? You know, all those questions. It's mentally draining, isn't it? Okay. And he also thinks not only she should do that, but also help pay some bills. Okay. Most households these days, it does require 2 incomes. I 100% agree, and I absolutely see that. Okay. But in that case, I feel like it's important to understand and discuss the roles of the household duties. If 2 people are going to be working, then 2 people need to be working in the house and chopping up the household duties evenly, right? At least in a way that they are able to, what is the end goal? If you have the same goal, which is to raise your children into beautiful adults who are actually productive in society, right? And to have a loving, cohesive relationship that runs nice, right? You need to agree on such things as, running the household in addition to working and who's going to do what, right? And then on top of that, there obviously needs to be an agreement with, how many partners is each person going to have? Are they going to be monotonous and have monogamy and be loyal? Or does one harbor secret feelings or secret desires to have more than one partner? Right? And I say this because I've talked to different men, lots of men over the years who have talked about they want poly or they think they want poly. And the funny thing to me is and I don't always say what I really feel or whatever, because I do understand, like, back in Bible times, men were treated like kings. Why? Because they had more than one P? No, that's not what made a man a king. The reason why back in Bible times that God even allowed poly relationships was, number one, the earth needed to be populated. That is absolutely true. Okay, he tolerated it. Second of all, back then, women, because they had no rights, no real rights, women it was more like property, okay? And this was God's way of making sure that a woman was covered financially, materially, emotionally, all of that. Back then, life was very different. Even the way they lived, and the workload to even run a household was so much more. I mean, just getting running water, okay? Like you had to live near a stream or whatever. You had to, plumbing. They didn't have plumbing. It was like all kinds of things, right? It took a lot. It's like farming and all this stuff. You needed families to group together, to come together, to all do different parts of the job or to make a society run effectively. You needed a lot of women, really and truly. And also, too, because there was no birth control. There was no birth control. Okay? We're talking about, back in Bible times, it was just hit it, quit it, and you popped out a baby. Okay? And once you hit it, okay, and that girl was pregnant for 10 months, okay, she was going to be sick, throwing up, whatever, okay, and not really going to be desiring to have sex with her husband again. Okay? That's just keeping it real. Just keep it real. She may or may not want to while she's pregnant and all that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is she's going to have days where she was not feeling herself because she was creating another human in her belly. So yeah, it was kind of like, go let Rashida over there take care of him and his needs. Why? Because men have a situation every single day. Every single day they wake up with a situation that they got to take care of. Okay? And so it was considered wrong to spill your DNA, your manly DNA, all over the ground. It was considered wrong. Why? Because that's your soul. That was like part of your soul. That's what the Bible says. So he said, you can't do that. So you need to spill it somewhere. Okay? So Rashida over there, she ain't pregnant. Okay? She just popped one out. She's good to go. Go deal with her. Right? Okay? Just keeping it real. So, but even back then, after a while, right? After Jesus Christ came, and he replaced the Old Testament, right? And what did he say? There was a gold standard. This is in Timothy. There was a gold standard to what was considered like the bar, or like if a man wanted to be an overseer or an elder in the congregation, there was considered to be the best case scenario, right? Which was a man of one wife. So it was common back there where lots of people still did that. But the best case scenario, a man with one wife had less trouble, right? Because we all know too many women in a household can absolutely cause, all kinds of drama, right? Even if you all agree to be together, it still can cause a lot of drama, especially if you got one who's like, needing more emotional nurturing, and the other one, and he's over there trying to hit it and quit it with the other one, and she's over here feeling jealous. I mean, I'm sure there's like a lot of chaos. That could create a lot of chaos, emotional chaos, right? So, but here's the thing: back then, a man had extra women and all that kind of stuff because he had property and lots of livestock and money and wealth and a kingdom to run. So he needed more hands. He needed more hands on deck. Okay, but everybody had a place to stay and everybody was a part of this kingdom. It wasn't like these are just men who were just sitting back in their, studio, downtown, high-rise apartment or whatever, being player, okay, and not taking care of or really providing for much of their women, but just have a bunch of women coming freaking them out all the time, whatever, and doing whatever they want, having freak-offs, okay, or just, having their way with women because they want to be poly. No, that's called an excess of sexual desire. That's called being greedy, and that's called giving into your excess sexual temptation, or you're not happy with who you might actually have a commitment with. Okay, if you are married to somebody, or if you actually have a commitment with somebody, you're not actually happy with that one girl for whatever reason, whether it be physical or whether it be mental, emotional, or whatever. You're not happy with her, and you're just like, I want another, because you want to satisfy other sexual needs or gratification or whatever with more than one, because that's just something you want to do. You don't actually want to provide for all those women. You don't actually want to emotionally take care of all those women. You don't actually want to look after all those children who are going to be popping out from all that sexual gratification. Okay, you just want to do it. Okay, that's what I hear a lot of these days. Okay, because again, we're not all over here living on farms running these little kingdoms. Most men that I know who have said this type of thing can't even pay all their own bills, or they have a hard time, or they are, it's whatever they got going on is enough for them. They don't really have that much that they have all this excess money that they can take care of her nails, and her nails, her hair, her shoes, and her clothes, and her gas in her car, and get her a new car, and make sure her phone bill is paid. I mean, you may be a P. Diddy. You may be a little mini P. Diddy. You might have that ability to do that. But can you handle everybody emotionally? Can you take care of all these women's needs? Can you take care of, putting belief into them? Seeing what it is that they're good at individually and helping them, investing in them to do whatever it is, like actually talking with them and actually fulfilling all of their needs, more than one. Likely no, because the reason why I'm saying this is because I have yet to meet one man who has ever said out of their mouth, oh, I like poly, or I think it should be poly. I have yet to meet a man who has ever said that, who has the ability to maintain all of them. And let's keep it real, even if you have the financial means like you are, P. Diddy, okay, clearly you don't have the emotional wherewithal. Clearly you are a narcissist, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're not, but clearly you don't even have whatever it takes to take care of all the women in your kingdom. Okay, so what you're essentially saying is, I just really want to have freak-offs and be okay to do that, and be allowed to do that. That's a different scenario. So in that case, you need to just say that type of thing. You should say that up front, because maybe whoever you're with, maybe she wants to do that too anyway. Okay, right? But if you think that women are, supposed to just be staying home, cooking and cleaning, and that's all that they're good for, if you think that or whatever, or if that's what you secretly think, or that's really all you want or whatever, you have to make sure that you get the type of woman who wants that same thing. Okay? You can't say one thing, get another, and expect a different thing. It don't work like that. Okay, life doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. For me personally, I'm a firstborn. Okay, and I do tend to be a bit of a go-getter. I've always had goals. I love children. I've had my own children. I enjoyed having children. I am very nurturing. I am very loving, and I can get in kid zone. I can absolutely get in kid zone, where you're just like all about the kids, right? And yes, I can absolutely be that. But I don't want to do that 24/7, all day, every day. I don't want to do that every day of the week either. Even when my own kids were home, I did not want to just simply be home all day long, just, watching Days of Our Lives, eating bonbons and doing nothing, and just, I didn't even want that. Even if I could, I didn't want it. I didn't want that. Because I happen to be somebody who needs a lot of mental stimulation, right? I like to actually, grow my brain and do things and set goals and actually do them. That's just who I am as a person. With or without kids, that's who I am. And so it's just because I might have a vagina between my legs, it doesn't mean that the only thing that I'm good for is popping out babies and sitting back and, watching them grow. Because then if that's the case, what happens when you're done having babies? What are you good for then? If you don't have a kingdom to put all these women up and who are doing things or whatever, what are you supposed to do? It's kind of like saying, okay, so yeah, a man can technically have children until the day he dies if he wants to do that because he can produce sperm. Sure, he absolutely can. As long as he makes sure he doesn't have a prostate issue or some other issue to stop that from happening. But even if he can do that, or if he can't do it, or he decides not to, is he good for something? What else is he good for? After he's done produced 12, 15 kids, okay, what else is he good for? Oh. It might be his brain. It might be his mind. Or how about if the man provides emotional stability, comfort, safety, and security? How about if she does that for him too? How about when you have the same goal, like owning a business or doing something, right? And you're working together and you believe in each other and you actually like each other and you actually have a friendship and you're actually able to communicate calmly, kindly, respectfully, and you actually enjoy each other's voice. Where you actually wake up in the morning and you're happy to see that person next to you. Can you imagine that? It exists. It absolutely exists. I definitely experienced that in my first marriage to my late husband. It absolutely exists, where you not only want to wake up and see that person's face, but you're actually excited about the day and the day that the two of you might have, or the goals that you have for that day. It's just to find that person, right, to where you both agree on the roles, where you agree on what you think the role should be, okay, for each other. And you actually have the same goal, and there is actually a physical attraction that's also there, and the desire matches the attraction, right? So the man is getting his fulfillment because there's an equal attraction, sexually speaking, okay, physically speaking. But on top of that, after you hit it and quit it, you both go back to work and you're able to do whatever it is that you're doing, or your goal, or whatever it is, because you actually agree on how you're wanting to run your mini kingdom, or whatever it is you got going on, okay? If you can find that, that is considered evenly yoked. That's evenly yoked. That is literally the goal. That is what people are seeking, I think. If you are male chauvinistic in any kind of way and you feel like women are useless after you decide not to have any more babies, or you can't produce any more babies, or you don't want to have any more children, or you feel like if you're not going to get the pee from her, she's useless to you, and that's just who you really are as a man, that, wouldn't work out for this chick over here. This chick who I am, that type of a man, any man that has chauvinistic kind of qualities like that or whatever, okay, that's cool. Be you, boo. And for me, as far as I'm concerned, just do that over there with somebody else who will put up with that BS, okay? Because I don't, and that's not who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know the brain that I have and what I like to do. I've always been like that, right? And I always feel like, for me, I have actually yet to meet a man who can actually keep up with me. Now, mentally speaking, I'm not talking, no, I'm not talking mentally. I'm talking about physically. I've yet to find a man who can actually keep up with me. But anyway, besides the point, I actually did meet a man, several men, mentally speaking, who are, they can run circles around me, and, we have good conversations and all that kind of thing, and we can go back and forth, and sometimes we can even debate. What I've noticed with those type of men, what I have noticed with a lot of those type of men, they tend to not be very romantic-like, and I tend to not develop romantic feelings for them. I have respect for them, but I tend to feel a little bit tired after talking to them, and I want to go take a nap, and I feel a little bit drained, and I feel like my energy is more drained, and like I feel like I can only handle them like twice a month, like dealing with like talking to them or hanging out or whatever, right? So in my personal case, I know for me, because I am a talker, and because I have a lot of interest and a lot of hobbies, and because for me personally, I'd rather be single and free to do whatever I want to do and not be told what to do by any man. And that's what I would prefer over the domination of a man who is going to try to cap me and cap my abilities, or not believe in me, or tell me, I should be just staying at home watching the kids, or, being ready to freak him whenever he wants to have freak offs or some crazy, whatever. Okay, that's not going to work for me. I'd rather be single. For me, I would much rather be single. Like that would never work for me. And this is the reason why I am even where I am right now. Because when I can see that in the end that there's not going to be any type of, that we're not going to be able to come to the same conclusion. Okay, we're not going to be able to agree on the same thing, or we have different goals, and I can see that this is what we're really dealing with, is that we have different goals, or we feel differently about the roles that women should play in a marriage or in a relationship or whatever. Then I feel like, for me, like I'm ready to go. Like to me, that's all I need. That's all I need to make a decision. That's all I need to make a decision. Like, okay. So for example, I dated this one guy for about a year or so, and he told me that he loved that I made my baskets. He said every time he was looking at me when I was making gift baskets, he said I was like the little engine that could. It was so sweet when he said that to me. It just warmed my heart, just because he always believed in me. And even though like making baskets, it's not like this is a huge money making kind of thing, but I do enjoy doing it. It is a creative type of a thing, and for me it's a form of therapy, right? And I love to do it. I can get lost in my craft room making baskets for like all day, right? But I've had a relationship where I've had two men who have thought that me making baskets was basically stupid. Okay, basically dumb, stupid, or it wasn't very important to them. They didn't really like support it, right? So you see, one man not only thought it was cute and loved that I did that, and he was impressed by it and by the fact that I actually like stayed with it and had a focus or whatever, but he actually helped me sell my baskets and just believed in me and just didn't chop my legs down or make me feel stupid for doing that. Now I have a lot of little hobbies and little things that I do like that. Like I love to buy things and resell them, right? I do this all the time. I love to do that. Arbitrage. I'm into that kind of thing. I don't do it all the time or whatever, but it's kind of one of those things like I like to just, I don't know. It's like, it's a part of hustling, but it's also really more or less like, I think it's just part of business or the way I was raised. I don't know. Buy it for $1, sell it for $2. I learned doing that in Mary Kay years ago. I don't know. So the point is that like, if I can't get into what the man is into, if I can't get into that, like for whatever reason, if he's doing something illegal, I can't get into that because I'm not trying to hide nobody. I'm not trying to lie for nobody. And no, I'm not trying to go to jail for nobody. Okay, so if he's doing something illegal, I can't get into that. If, he's doing something that is just like, okay, it's a good job, maybe I respect it or whatever, but if you want me to do it with you, like run a business with you, and it's something that I'm not interested in, aka let's say truck driving or driving truck, okay, And let's say you asked me about that after we're already together and we already have an agreement as to how things are going to run, and you decide you want to start a new business and this is what you want to do, and you ask my opinion and I tell you, oh, okay, that's cool, but I don't want to do that because I'm not interested in that. Yeah, it makes a lot of money, but I'm not interested really in that business. It's kind of boring for me and I don't want to spend my time like that. So I look at it as like, I don't want to waste all this time. I don't want to waste all this time on doing like, you know, something that is not going to interest me at all. I don't want to drive truck, okay? And I don't want to figure out your loads and find your loads and negotiate with people. I know that makes a lot of money. But I think it's better for you to find somebody who wants to do that kind of thing. Who wants to spend her time, his time, whatever, doing that, right? And don't get mad at me if I tell you, if I was honest and open with you and I say, I don't want to be a part of that. Don't say, oh, now you don't want to help me with my business or whatever, yada, yada. But if you tell me you want to open a car lot, or if you tell me you want to flip cars, buy them and sell them, whatever, and I say to you, oh, I love that idea. Oh, I like that. I would love to do that. I think that's something my boys would like to do. Or that's kind of cool. That kind of piques my interest. Okay. And then you get into that. Okay, and then I want to support that. That's what it is. I'm going to be honest and say that, right? But it's like, I think a lot of times these types of discussions and these types of things, either people are not honest from the very beginning, or they're not honest in general. And this is where people go wrong. And it's like, you always hear this as a kid and you've heard this growing up. Honesty is the best policy. But let's keep it real. Honesty is the only way to go. Because if you're not honest, you're going to be dealing with situations, aggravations, irritations, and you're going to be stuck with people you don't want to be with, in the bed, with your heart is with somebody else, or you over here trying to have poly with one, and you got one person who's always calling you a hoe because you want really poly and she does not, or whatever, or she wants to open, or you want to open a business, she don't want to open a business, or she don't want to be part of that business, right? But when people are honest and they say whatever is really on their mind, whatever they really feel, and they're honest, okay, then it's like you can't now blame me for however you decide to respond to that honesty, right? If I tell you, if you're over here trying to marry me because you see me, let's say I have 2 little boys and I'm recently widowed and I look like, I need a lot of help and I'm kind of sad and in need and I'm broke, and you're over there being Captain Sava, okay, and you just think that it's just, like your place to come over here and save me, whatever, and give me what I need, right? Okay. And that's why you entered into my life. And then when my boys get older and I'm done grieving, no longer crying about, being widowed or whatever, and I am back to the normal self who I really am, which is like, running a business or running different things, and learning different things and setting goals and intentions and, going out there and being a go-getter, right? And you don't like that kind of a person. You don't like that. So it's like, are you good? Are you able to adjust and change? And also, do you like that person, or did you like it when she was weak and she needed your help for everything and she just stayed home and didn't do much, right? Even though she said at some point she was probably going to, when the kids got older, get back up on her feet and start running and hitting the ground the way she used to, right? Even though she might have told you that and you didn't believe her, but when she did it, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're you're just independent and you just don't want to, respect a man's role. So for me personally, I absolutely respect the man's role. I do not want a penis between my legs. As far as like, I don't want to own one. Like, I don't want to be a man. I enjoy being a woman. I like being a woman. And I enjoy the role of the man as far as like having a man in my life, right? I'm very, 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 very aware of roles and lanes. Like, I stay in my lane, you stay in your lane, as long as we agree on what those lanes are. Okay? And no, I am not attracted to women at all. Never have been attracted to women or anything soft. Okay? I don't like soft men either. Okay? So, yeah, while I might be feisty and I might definitely have a mind of my own and have goals and I'm a female, so, I have a vagina, but I also have a brain. I also have goals. I know how to show respect. I am respectful, and I am for me personally, I don't share. I'm not about to sit here and play no games with anybody and go back and forth with 3 or 4 other chicks, whoever that person has on the side, okay, or however many people they have on the side. I ain't playing no games with them, and I'm not over here trying to fight to be a pick me. No, don't pick me. In fact, don't pick me, leave me out, okay? In fact, forget about me. Forget me, in fact, lose my number. That's how I feel, okay? That's just how I feel, because I am so, fulfilled on my own with the things that I need to do. What I enjoy a man for, as far as any relationship, is, first of all, someone who likes to, a good listener, okay? That's number one. First of all, a good listener. That's definitely something that has been one of the things in all of my relationships, and any man who has actually been able to tie me down, they have all been good listeners. Okay. Number 2, they tend to be supportive of me, just like I'm supportive of them, and we agree upon the things that we're doing. Like when my first husband and I, we opened a barbershop, and we did that together, and we even did it before we actually even got married. And I remember helping his business cards and flyers and marketing, and helping him get gigs at the nursing homes, when he cut hair at nursing homes, stuff like that. I went with him. I remember helping him to decorate the shop. I would come and bring him lunch. I would make deposits for him. All that. I was supportive to him, just like he supported me with my business when I was doing Mary Kay. Okay, so that's definitely big for me. And at this age, because I'm really not trying to pop out any more babies, preferably, I would prefer to, possibly run a business of some sort with that person, as long as it was something that I agreed upon, or that I liked, or that I wouldn't mind doing. Like I said, I just have my likes, just like everybody else have my likes and dislikes. I don't want to run a trucking business. I really don't. Not saying that I wouldn't get into it at all or anything, but it's just not really something that I see myself wanting to do, okay? But I can see logistics. I can see the benefit of it. I definitely see that that kind of thing makes a lot of money, and I could definitely support it. But how much hands-on would I be? Probably not as much, as I would be, let's say, selling cars, or having a car lot, or flipping cars, or buying or renting cars, even renting cars, or having an event space, things like that, okay? I definitely could get down with things like that. But I would, if I was going to do that would be nice, okay? And if I wasn't running something with him or whatever, but just in general, be a man that he is confident on his own. He's quietly confident, and he doesn't necessarily need to try to stamp my light out, or try to push me down, or try to make me feel small or look small, or basically, not give me compliments, so to speak, or whatever, to, because your head is going to blow up or whatever, right? Obviously, I would like to be physically attracted to this person, right? Because I feel that physical touch, I feel like physical touch, whether it be holding hands, massage, whatever, you should like that other person enough that you want to be able to touch. Touch is a love language. We all know this. Touch is one of the love language. So if I don't want to touch you, or you don't want to touch me, or we're not attracted to each other, to me, that's going to be also going to make for a empty hole of a relationship. It's going to feel empty. Okay? So, to me, those are things that are super important. Also, respectful of God, right? Of, this is my belief is not only my belief, but in the Bible, this is God's name, whatever I'm not the kind of person to force my beliefs on anybody. I never have been that way, right? But definitely don't try to force your beliefs on me, because that ain't gonna work, because I already have my belief system. So either we're going to be respectful of each other's belief system, and whatever that is, okay, or if we can't see eye to eye, we're either going to agree to disagree, okay? But I know one thing is that it is very difficult when if you do have the type of belief system where you don't believe in God, or every single holiday is a party for you, and you want your significant other to celebrate with you, and if she doesn't believe in certain pagan holidays, certain things, because of her Bible trained conscience, she's not going to get down with that. If that's gonna he's gonna take it personal, I wouldn't be the one for him either, right? Because that's just how I feel. Most men that I have met, to be honest, most men, I would say 9 out of 10 that I've met, have all been, to them, holidays is nothing but a big money sucking event, and they all spend money and they can't stand it. The things that I find that most men like to actually do have to do with either birthdays, sometimes the Valentine's, or not so much Valentine's, but more or less like sexy gifts, like birthdays, or doing something like that nice for their significant other or for their mother, like the Mother's Day. Most of the time it's like that. That's what I find. Like they want to just either get something nice or whatever because they love that person, right? And sometimes it doesn't really have to do anything with the holiday. It has more to do with how they feel about that person. But most men are like, they can't stand the holidays and all the stuff that goes into it, right? But not all men. That's not all men. But anyway, I have found that hasn't really been a big issue for anybody that I've dated or whatever, because they didn't really want to spend no money on the holiday anyway. So anyway, so things like that though, right? Anyway, these are just some things that I guess I had wanted to get out. I know for me personally, because I'm not over here living on a farm, and I'm not over here trying to share anybody's man's penis. I'm not trying to share with no female. And I don't want to be in poly, and I absolutely have not yet to meet a man who could actually handle all of this, okay? And I'm just keeping it real. The man that I did meet that could handle everything that I bring passed away, okay? And there was possibly one other, but he allowed his family to pressure him into doing whatever, and that was that. So it's like I have, and I get it. I do get it, where a lot of men feel like women, it's like they need one woman who they're attracted to physically, that they can get down with, whatever they got. One woman who is having their babies, and one woman who is cooking for them and cleaning for them. One woman who they like to talk to because she gives him mental stimulation. And, they got all these different women. It's because they can't find all of that in one woman. I get it. To be honest with you, a lot of these women out here are children, having children, young children, or they're not even women themselves, and they're over here having babies, and they're not actually preparing their daughters or their kids on how to be a well-rounded individuals and adults, right? It's like, if the mom is only good for laying on her back and getting her boobs done and getting her butt done and, just attracting men from her looks, okay, or just being like whatever, what kind of daughter is she going to produce? She's going to produce a daughter who's going to do the same thing. You think it's not 100%, because again, a lot of times you do, sometimes you do produce your opposite. You might get a bookworm or whatever, but a lot of times children do what they see. So if the children see mom being a hoe, okay, then that's what they're going to bring. Yeah. So the girl's not going to invest in her brain either. And some of that is families at fault or whatever, and some of that is just, men not looking hard enough and just giving in, right? But I do get it, and I understand, because it's been very hard for me to, actually find one person who actually embraced all of me, and I could embrace all of him, right? And and he actually fulfilled the needs that I feel like that I have. So yeah, a man's role, I absolutely, am a relationship kind of person, and I absolutely am a love bug, okay? But I am also very picky, and I also don't just, I don't do multiple men at a time. That's disgusting to me. And I'm not going to share either. That's just who I am. And if a man might be physically attracted, or I think he's physically attractive, and he might even have money, or might even like what he does for a living or whatever, but he has a poor attitude, or he makes me feel like I'm small, or like I'm only good for one thing, or I'm only kind of good for, staying at home, cooking and cleaning, or, I'm only, whatever. If he's gonna stamp my light out in any way, shape, or form, then I don't care how good he looks, and I don't care how much money he has, he ain't gonna get this chick. See, me personally, I wouldn't have been no Cassie, no shade though, because Cassie's being a warrior, Okay, and she is absolutely being a hero to other women who are in the situation. But I wouldn't have fallen for a P. Diddy, first of all, because none of that stuff, P. Diddy and all that, that stuff don't appeal to me. Cars, houses, money, and stuff like that, I don't place value like that. Yeah, we need them to survive. We need a house, we need a car, we need whatever, we need this thing. But fame and all that kind of stuff, first of all, I don't even really like walking red carpets, okay? And I've walked with my clients, I've walked with them. I don't even like them because I'm not trying to have everybody look at me and judge me for this, that, and the other, because I don't care what they think about how many roles I got, because I earn my roles, I want my roles. I like them. They're called, my roles are named after each child and these husbands I've gotten, okay? That's how I got my roles, and I'm keeping my roles, and I don't mind. I don't care, okay? I'm not here to live for nobody else, and that's how I feel about it. But I am the kind of person that I do like to take care of other people when it comes to like makeup and my clients, making sure they look good and everything. That's cool. Like, and they like that kind of thing. They don't mind walking red carpets. Me, I could care less about any of that. Fame and stuff like that could not ever appeal to me. So a P. Diddy type of man, he would have been stamped out of my life after the first date. Because I don't get along with men like that. I do not get along with men like that who are male chauvinistic. And if you have those type of traits, you will find yourself disappeared and irrelevant out of my life, because I won't stand for it. I won't be around. I won't make myself available. And you couldn't tempt me going to anywhere. No Dubai or here, there, and anywhere. Nope, I ain't going nowhere. I don't be stuck nowhere on no boat, no ship, no whatever, no cruise, whatever with you. I don't want to go. If you make me unhappy or you dim my light in any way, shape, or form, and don't try to raise a fist to me, don't even think that that's gonna happen. No, it's a no. And I've been this way since as long as I can remember. I've never accepted that type of treatment, nor would I ever. And if I detect any of it, or I suspect any of it, or think something is creeping up in a boss or a manager or anything, what do? I leave. I quit. I don't stay around. I don't hang around, because I'm fine. For me, I'm totally fine and fulfilled with the things that I enjoy doing, and my friends and my family, and my connections and people that I have in general. And I always seem to have children in my life, whether it be my own children or my friends' children or whatnot, kids and stuff. And kids crack me up. Kids really do. When they're little, especially when they're under 10, they just crack me up. I think they're funny. And so for me, I find that there's a lot of fulfillment in life outside of dealing with some sort of male chauvinistic man. And I wouldn't put up with a man just for my livelihood either. I don't care. Take my car, take my house. I will walk barefoot if it means I have my dignity and my sanity and my freedom. Okay, that's just how I feel. Okay, that's it. I'm sorry. This was a long rant. Bye.